Yo, big up, Wagwan, where you deal with, why pre, where you depan, up top, blessings. You know, it's that time. It is that time. Today is Wednesday, June 7th, and it is 3 days away from the Champions League final this year in Istanbul. Manchester City versus Inter Milan. This is an absolutely massive game. By the way, big up to West Ham, who have just been confirmed as Europa Conference League winners. You know, more European trophies than Arsenal. Don't forget that. Just saying. But hopefully we can join West Ham on that, winning our first European trophy this Saturday. I'm still feeling fairly calm. I'm not like super nervous, like yo, I stress out, but I'm at here Saturday. I do think the nerves will kick in on Saturday, but you know, we'll stay tuned for those. And as of right now, I think I can still look at this game with the emotion out of it. Let me say it that way. I think I can look at this game clear-mindedly and actually see and speak about how I do think this game will go out without, you know, the typical City fan side of me getting out too much, and it's like I don't know what will be the outcome of this game. I do see a couple of comments flying in, so let me get to those real quick and see what you guys are saying. Just give me 1 second. It's Phil Foden in the chat, and he's saying, hello, one more game to go, man. Trust me, I feel the energy, trust me. And if you've seen at the title, you see believe. That is me. We have to believe that we are here to do this. This is our time to be crowned champions of Europe. So it's not, to be honest, let me tell you, see, at the start of this season, when we signed Haaland in the summer transfer window, I was thinking we can win the Champions League this year. I genuinely was. And if you look back at it, last season, I did say we would win the Champions League last season. And I think that in that run to the semi-final last season, we were thinking about the lessons we learned losing the final to Chelsea the year before. But last season, that's not what stopped us from beating Real Madrid. I think we were thinking too much about the job being done and forgetting that the Champions League has always been a competition of moments. You need those moments, take control of all of those moments, capitalize on them, and that is where your winning opportunities will come from. If you had told me last season before the game that Real Madrid is a better football team than Manchester City on paper, I wouldn't believe you. But that doesn't mean they can't beat us. So they showed us that last season, and what that taught us, I think we brought that into this season, on top of what we've learned over our several exits throughout the Champions League. A big problem we've had, if you look at previous Champions League campaigns against Monaco, against Spurs, against, I would even throw Liverpool in there, and definitely Real Madrid. The amount of goals we've conceded in those games, we should not be doing that, especially not in knockout stages of the Champions League. So I think this season we've definitely taken that lesson and we've gone a step further. And like I said, when we signed Haaland, I was thinking, you know what? This is the type of player we might need mentality-wise to step up and take these moments, you know? So speaking on Haaland a little bit more, there are several players I do want to speak on today, because I do think that what they'll bring to the team on Saturday will be like very crucial to us, like winning the trophy on Saturday. So firstly, on Erling Haaland, he scored something like 53 goals this season across all competitions. I do think he's slowed down in previous weeks. I don't think he is playing the same exact role as he was for majority of the season. I do think he's more involved in the build-up of the team. If you look at the FA Cup game, he constantly was dropping deep into the midfield to give an extra option to Rodri and Stones. So when they were looking for Gundogan and KDB and they were getting man-marked, by Casemiro and Fred. You know, Haaland was the one coming down. Varane or Lindelof wouldn't follow him, and he would make that extra man in the midfield to where we could, you know, regain somewhat control of the game and go on to get our goal scoring opportunities. But Haaland, like I said, is one of those moments players. We need him to be on his game. He said inadvertently that coming to Manchester City, we bought him to win the Champions League. That wasn't his words directly, but he was heavily implying that. So if you know it and your phone ringtone is the Champions League anthem, so you were supposed to know, say, yo, you go come out and perform for it. And that's the type of 9 that we need right now at this point in the season. We have other big game players like Gundogan as well, captain, lifted the three-peat and won the FA Cup for us with 2 brilliant goals. You look at the Champions League final now, the vein of goal scoring form he's been on, you have to be fancying our chances and saying, you know, he might be the one to step up as well. Could also be KDB, again, moments player. He gave us that moment that kept us in the game against Madrid at the Bernabeu. That equalizer, bring it back to the Etihad on equal terms, that doesn't happen without him. If we went on to lose that 1-0 or 2-0, the second leg at the Etihad would have been a completely different game. Trust me on that. Donahue Simpson in the chat saying, Def, big up yourself, cuz. Was gonna say that about the Champions League ringtone. I'm confident about the final, but anything can happen in finals, and not to underestimate the opponent. 100%. I do think Inter is very dangerous in their own way. I would have felt much more comfortable if we were facing AC Milan. I think, you know, people would have been like, oh, it's written in the stars for Zlatan get him first ever Champions League in last season before he retire. But you know, I do think when it comes down to it, what I saw against Inter Milan in both legs from AC, they didn't do anything. And Inter Milan, on the other hand, even if a lot of people don't think they were like amazingly great or, you know, massive performance or anything, the level of mentality that they came out to the semi-final with was clear of whatever AC Milan thought they were doing. And they looked like the team for the occasion. They stepped up, they scored the crucial goals, they took advantage of those moments. AC Milan had their chances against them, but they didn't capitalize, and that's really where it is in the Champions League. It's 90 minutes. I think it would have fit us better if it was a two-legged affair. It would be more in our favor, in my opinion, because we would have approached it the same way we did Bayern Munich, the same way we did Real Madrid. And I do think the crowd at the Etihad would push us over the line as well, because let's be real, the match-going fans in the Champions League are loving the atmosphere. They're loving it, and they're pushing the team over the line. I do think they'll play a massive part in this year's final, and that's why, again, in the title, I say believe. We have to believe that we are here to do this. 2 more players I want to shout out as crucial players in this competition. I think Mahrez. A lot of speculation that it might be his last season in a Manchester City shirt. Regardless of if that is true or not, I know he has more years on his deal, but he has been Mr. Champions League for us over the last couple of years. We look at Mahrez as a player that's like your clutch. If you look at last season, he was the one who scored against Real Madrid at the Bernabeu when we went up 2 goals on aggregate. He was that guy who came up with that goal. I think he also scored in the first leg, even though he was very wasteful with his chances. But even if you look at the year before that, came up with the performances against PSG in both legs. You know, him just always there in the Champions League. When we need something to happen, it's like, it's just Champions League Mahrez, you know? Black gloves Mahrez, Ramadan Mahrez, Champions League Mahrez. It's like him stats just boost and the man just in a different mode. So I think Mahrez, even if he's not going to start coming off the bench, I think he definitely has a role to play, and Pep will be looking at his past performances and saying, you know what, I'm going to give you a chance, I'm going to roll the dice, and I know your qualities that you have, go on and affect the game. And Phil Foden brings up a brilliant point as well in the chat. Apparently Mahrez is starting. I saw that rumor as well, and to be honest, I don't know if I'm mad at it. I don't think Bernardo Silva was great against Man U in the FA Cup. I think Luke Shaw had a better game than him, to be real. But on that same note, he hasn't played in a long while. I don't think he's played since that Madrid game, if I'm not mistaken. So that FA Cup game would have been his first game back. I think with those minutes, similar to Grealish, I think I would look for better performances from them in the final. But either one of them start, I don't think it massively weakens our starting 11, regardless. So I would have just preferred if Pep went with what's been working for us, you know. But hey, as long as we have a DM on the pitch in the form of Rodri, I'm fine. I'm fine. But I digress. Last player, Alvarez. It might come as a shock to a lot of people, but I rate Alvarez very highly. I think he's a player who knows about moments. He's had those moments for River Plate. He's had those moments for Argentina in the World Cup this season. And he has had a couple of moments for Manchester City as well. So he's been a part of some moments at least. So I think, again, if we roll the dice with him, that extra dynamic that we'd have, he kind of is like a 12th player in a way. I think Pep likes those players who are kind of like a 12th player on the pitch, because Alvarez roams around and he's in multiple positions. He's also quick, so he can get back into position when needs be a bit faster than other players typically would. Like let me compare that to Bernardo Silva. If Bernardo is drifting into the midfield, he's in the midfield for that play. He's not going to be back on the wing in that same play. Alvarez is a different form of player, so he might be able to return to his position like that. I think he could come on and affect the game. Maybe a goal similar to what we got against Real Madrid in when Phil Foden and Alvarez came on, that last goal. Something like that, where, you know, we have an opportunity. He's 1v1 with the keeper. I think his finishing is good enough to get us over the line in a scenario like that. And I've seen this season where Alvarez and Haaland, when they're playing together, them sync so well. I think them play off of each other so well, and the fact that the defense has to respect both of them, it gives at the same time both of them more space to operate in. It's kind of weird, but that's how it feels when I see them playing together. So I do hope that at some point in time, if we are in need of that sort of change, that Pep will give that call and say, no, Alvarez, you deserve it. Go on, make us proud. I'm going to give you the chance to help us make history. Phil Foden again says, the starting lineup will be the same as the FA Cup final, but maybe for Bernardo, out for Mahrez or Foden. Alvarez is a pressing machine, which I like 100%. I do think that we should be able to get over the line with these 5 players. I think if 2 of these 5 players show up and the rest of them have their normal game, I want to say not normal like them scintillating best, but like a good level for them, you know, them do them thing, I think we still win that game. If 2 of those players show up, I think we can squeeze this game past them. Even if it's by 1 goal, I do think we can. We'll get that score predictions soon enough. I haven't forgotten about that. But to the next point, if you look at previous Champions League seasons, you look at you look at when we faced Chelsea in the Champions League final last time around, 2 years ago, KDB will be playing with a chip on his shoulder. To me, that is the day when my hatred for Chelsea really started. I never really mind Chelsea before that, but after that final, I was like, nah, bun that side here. Man, I like this. Worst part is most of my friends, let me not say most of, but of my friends, the most from a single, like the most that support a single club is from Chelsea. So I know of the friends that watch football, at least like 4 or 5 of them are Chelsea fans, and losing to them in the final, it was so unbearable, man. For me, I never want to experience that again. I don't want to lose to them in anything. As a matter of fact, I'm glad. I think we beat them every time since then, if not very, very close to it. But that's when my hatred for Chelsea started. Particularly, not necessarily when Havertz scored, but when Rudiger just wiped out KDB. He might have didn't even get a card or only got like a yellow card, some foolishness like that, and I was like, nah, them buy that referee clearly, because I don't see how that's not a red card. He did not get any of the ball at all. He didn't just even body block KDB, he was charging towards him, so it was more like a tackle, and he just completely blocked KDB out of his run. Just slams into his shoulder, breaks his eye socket and his nose. So it's not like it was just any regular contact, like they brushed into each other. Nah, there was very rigid force in there, and KDB could not finish the rest of the game. Understandably so, but it was quite unfortunate, and we lost our best player at the club in that game at that point, and they just, kept on playing with 12 men. We made a forced substitution, and we just had to throttle on. I think that killed our momentum and our game plan, and I think a lot of the players were thinking the game would have already been lost, which again, that's also on us, but nah, bun Chelsea. Gundogan, on the other hand, has suffered defeat in the Champions League final on 2 occasions. So a lot of these players in our team would have suffered one, aside from who has added or joined the team either last season or this season, but everyone else would have suffered Champions League loss in the final. And I do think Gundogan, paired with his loss while he was at Borussia Dortmund, will give him a lot more experience. I don't think Inter has any players who would have said at this point in time they witnessed Inter winning the Champions League in 2010, like being a part of the club, or been to a final since then and lost it, to say I've played in a Champions League final before. If I'm wrong, definitely let me know in the comments, in the live chat, or on the video. But from what I remember of their squad, I don't think there's a player who has won the Champions League at Inter or been in a Champions League final with Inter since then. I don't think there has been a final with Inter since then. But Gundogan would have known that taste of defeat. He doesn't like that. He just won 2 trophies at Manchester City, the League three-peat and the FA Cup against Manchester United, and you're telling him that he's gonna lose a 3rd Champions League final in a row? No chance. I'm sure if there's one player whose mentality is going to be fully on, locked in, up for the occasion, it is going to be Ilkay Gundogan. I do think that his experience as a player and in finals and even in Champions League finals will be needed, and I think that's why a lot of the Pep, as well as some of the other players, are speaking about how important the fans are going to be, because if you pair all of these dynamics and components together, trust me, it's a problem. We're a force to be reckoned with. That's the type of mentality we had going against Bayern, the type of mentality we had going against Real Madrid. So don't stop that momentum. Bring it into the final as well. I'm sure the City allocation of fans will be packed out. They're planning to Poznan at the start of the game when the anthem is going on. If you are at the game, join that Poznan, because I already said famously on this channel, if we win the Champions League final and the Manchester City fans are doing the Poznan during the game, you will see that everywhere from me. I will have that everywhere. You're gonna see here on this channel, you're gonna see it on my socials. I'm gonna have that run everywhere. Trust me, people are going to get sick of it, because that brings me into my next point. But Manchester City deserves some respect for all the stuff that we've done, and this is where our respect will be coming from. This is a point I'm going to touch on later on. I'm not going to get into this too much right now, but just remember that I said that this is more than just a final. This is more than just a trophy. We are playing for respect as well. A few more players that I think maybe not on the same level as the other 5 who can affect this game similarly is Foden, Bernardo, Grealish, Rodri. I think these next 4 players, Foden, you can be immortalized in this club, and you are a Manchester City fan. I know that if given the opportunity to play, which you might, because coming off the bench, you've been really good. I haven't seen it ever since you've gotten your appendix removed and you've gotten back into the team. You have been really, really good, and it's not lost on me. So if you are called on in the game, I'm sure that you will have something to offer to help us get to the trophy. Similarly, Bernardo Silva, I'm not sure if he needs to do much more in the final in terms of his contribution in this UCL run, but I'll take if all I'm getting from him goal contribution wise is what he did against Madrid, that is fine with me. Thank you so much. You did your job for this campaign. But if you want to give me something extra in the final as well, I'll also gladly take that. A lot of speculation that this is going to be Bernardo Silva's last ever game in a Manchester City shirt. I hope that's not the case, but if it does happen, what better way to send him off than with a Champions League trophy? We know that in the formidable season when we got the Centurions and we won all the domestic trophies as well, including the Community Shield, FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, Bernardo Silva was interviewed and he said he's happy, but he wasn't satisfied because he really wanted the Champions League, and he felt like our knockout in that particular year was a bit disappointing, in which I agree. That was when we got robbed against Spurs with the Llorente handball. I think that was definitely a handball, and the fact that VAR didn't overrule it was abysmal in my opinion. I'm dying on that hill. Don't even try changing my mind. I hate Spurs for that reason, and I'll never forgive them. I will never ever forgive them for that. That was blatant robbery in my opinion. But where was I even going? I completely lost my train of thought. But Bernardo Silva, I do think that if you do start, I do think that you will be at your best, like we saw against the Madrids and like we saw against Bayern Munich. Because the thing is with Bernardo Silva, he likes those big games. Even if he's not on the score sheet in these big games, he's always coming up with that big type of performance. You would see him in Liverpool games in the title race in previous years, and that is when you see like the full quality of Bernardo, because not only does he hate Liverpool, but he knows what this game means in terms of our season. You'll see it when he's playing against Manchester United as well. He knows what that means to the club and the city of Manchester if we do win that Manchester derby. So typically you would see the best performances from Bernardo. I know that's a bit ironic because that FA Cup game, which was a Manchester derby, and the final, he wasn't at his best. But I do think that wasn't for lack of trying. I think that was more lack of match fitness in my opinion. And Grealish, again, he might be another player that pops up with a goal. I'll be getting to those comments really soon, as soon as I finish talking about Grealish and Rodri. But Grealish, I do think that he will have his role to play. Similar situation to Bernardo, where he wasn't really at his best in the FA Cup. I do think he had a fairly good game though, and I do think that coming up against what's his name, I'm struggling to remember that right back from Inter Milan's name, Dumfries. So Denzel Dumfries, I'm sure that if he goes up against Denzel Dumfries in a 1v1, he's blitzing him, but I don't think he'll get that 1v1 opportunity, sadly. I think he'll probably get tripled up on by Barella, and I don't remember who the next centre-back's name is, the one next to Acerbi, who plays on that right side. So I do think Grealish will have a rough game, but hey, he has come up with some goals when we haven't expected it before. He scored against Manchester United, he scored against Liverpool, he scored against Arsenal, like he scored against Chelsea. I think he had an assist against Chelsea actually. And he had an assist and a goal over 2 games against Manchester United. So he's coming up with these big game performances. And we don't expect him to be giving us this goal scoring attributes in these games based on what we've seen from him in a City shirt up to now. But now if he comes up with a goal in the final, that's Jackie G Grealish. That's what we'll be saying. And it won't be as much of a surprise anymore because he's shown us, yo, you can trust in me. Darmian, I think, is the name of the right centre back. Thank you for that, Darmian. Quickly on Rodri, you know what Rodri brings to our team. That defensive midfield role, in my opinion, is the most important position on the pitch for us. I think Rodri will have a massive say in what happens for us defensively and offensively. And if he's at his best, I do think we have control of that midfield. And that is where everything for the team starts at. We get control in that midfield, then we get that box formation going with John Stones next to him, doing a similar role, affecting the game forward and defensively, and bringing in Gundogan and KDB's offensive attributes. Nah, that definitely, you're looking at some problems. You're looking at some gaps from Inter Milan's midfield getting exploited, and all of this starts from Rodri having a typical game, because that's how good he is as a player. So I think the level of control he can give us will be very, very important. And I'm looking towards him again as a big game player, because he's shown us that he loves the club. He has those leadership qualities, and he starts leading by his performances on the pitch. So I think him having a good game will influence the other players around him as well, and bring the best out of their games. And I don't know, I cannot speak highly enough about Rodri. I really cannot, but I really do hope he is at his best. He has had a fair few arrests in the past few weeks, so hopefully that's just what he needed. And last but not least, Pep Guardiola. We talk about Chelsea, we talk about that final and that decision. I don't understand it. I really do not understand it. Maybe Rodri was just played out. He had played a lot of games that season. I think he had played almost 60 games that season, and he had started fairly all of them. So, and that's on top of the fact that in his first season at the club, he needed to start every single game, because we had him and Fernandinho both playing as centre backs and defensive midfielders, swapping from time to time, because we just lost Vincent Kompany and Laporte was injured for the whole season. Excuse me. And maybe he was just super tired before that final, and Pep said, you know what, I'm not gonna risk you, make you get injured or messed up the performance of the team, because you're clearly not at their best. And he made the call to not play him, and I think we needed him on the pitch. By the time he came on, subbed on, it wasn't. I mean, we looked better defensively from there, and I think we might have created more chances after that point, but it was already too late. It was already too late, and I don't want to see another like weird call like that from Pep. A big call, sure, but a weird call, like, why are you doing this call? Like, no. Like, for example, a regular call I would take is if you say, you know, Walker isn't ready, so let's play Ake on the left, Akanji on the right. I'm not vexed. I'm not vexed at that, because I know both of these players are playing fairly well, and both of them were a part of our strongest system this season at one point. So I'm not as upset with that as if you say, all right, I rate Calvin Phillips, but put Calvin Phillips starting CDM. Do not do that, Pep. Do not do that. But if Pep does what we think he will do in terms of sticking with what's been working for us this season, I do think that we can get the maximum benefit out of this game. And I know that he might still have some calls to make, like we talk about Bernardo not starting, Mars might be getting ahead, the not ahead. We might have Bernardo playing in the midfield over Gundogan, I've been hearing as well, which I hope that one particularly doesn't happen, because we need Gundogan in this game to play the majority of the game. That's what I believe anyways. I do think that Pep will be making a call that some people will not be too happy about. But at the same time, I just want to say, Pep, whatever you think, I doubt there's ever a chance that you'll possibly see this, but whatever you possibly think is our best way of winning this title and lifting this trophy, however you think it's best, do it. I 100% trust you. I might see the decision and say, you know what? Why are you doing this? I might cuss, I might be vexed, but just if you think it's best, overall else, I trust you. So make whatever big call you think it is. That's why you get paid. You've brought us countless moments that we can be proud of as Manchester City fans. So I think you gained the right for us to trust you. So go right ahead and do what you think you need to do. And that's all I have to say on that. Let me get to the comments real quick. Phil Foden says we need to score first in this final to calm down the nerves of the players and relieve a bit of pressure. So personally, I was thinking that it might be best for us to score like one goal in the first half. Not to say, you know, let's win the game in the first half and then potentially, you know, get counter-attacked and we go down into the second half by one goal and it's like, oh wow, look what we did. We were too greedy, stuff like that. I think we will have a similar approach to like how we played against Bayern Munich in the first leg. If you do remember that we were consistent in our pressure, but anytime Bayern Munich had broken with the ball and had been on the counter-attack or they were attacking our goal, we were defensively rigid. Everyone was on it. Ruben Diaz was around there. He was giving out orders like like him in a restaurant, like, you right this, so you need to do this, that man over there. Like, he was completely vocal. I like seeing when my center backs are vocalizing, getting into the positions, and everyone is on the same page essentially. So I do think we'll have a similar defensive focus in terms of Inter Milan attacking us, which we have to expect them to do at some point in time. We can't just be thinking we're attacking them for 90 minutes. But I think we should be able to get a goal ahead in that first half, and then in that second half, tweak the game plan and target it like 45 minutes of football. You need a win, one goal aggregate, get the win here. Go in, we do our thing. That match ended 3-0 against Bayern Munich. Who knows? Or when we get to the predictions against Inter Milan, we'll talk about that. But Phil Foden also says 2009 when Inter won the UCL, no way they have a player from that time in 2003. Exactly. That would be a veteran player, like serious ways. But nah, I genuinely don't think so. We need Diaz leadership in the game, 100%. And Diaz is another one of those players who, you talk about leadership, you talk about him same way you would with Rodri, the same way you would with Gundogan, the same way you would with Mr. Kyle Walker here, the same way you would with even KDB. So I do think he knows his role. He's one of those players who's always dialed in. He's always in the best physical condition he can be, and I think that mentally he will also be there for us. He knows the importance he has on the team and what the rest of the team is expecting from him. We also saw his thoughts ahead of the Bayern game. They were saying, are you not worried about Coman and Sane? And he was saying Bayern need to be worried about Ruben Diaz and Nathan Ake and Kyle Walker and John Stones and Manuel Akanji. And he was right. He was definitely right. So Inter will be looking at our team as well and wondering how they're going to get this win from us. Phil Foden goes again and says, would be great send-off for Bernardo if he can win the UCL, especially strong rumors of him leaving. And trust me, he would get sent off with my absolute blessing. One of my favorite players to watch at Manchester City, definitely. And I would wish him all the best wherever he ends up. I would definitely wish him all the best. Dumfries and Darmian's the right centre back. We spoke about that. They are going to try to press Rodri. They always do. I think most teams try to press him, but you might see that deter later down in the game because they realize, he's kind of press resistant. That's why we all rate him. So I do want to see how they plan to approach the game against that midfield setup, and that's even if we have John Stones drifting into the midfield, because Pep might decide to play more of a traditional back four and have him, on the step up into the midfield occasionally. Maybe we just do the typical the regular tactics against that's brought us to the final so far, and actually he's just there for the whole time we have possession. But who knows? I'm not trying to get into the mind of Pep Guardiola too much. That man is very, very unpredictable. So for certain things, I'll leave it until Saturday to see what he's doing. I hope Pep makes subs, especially after 60 minutes if needed. Funny enough, in that FA Cup final, I was asking for Phil Foden like 74th minute or 73rd minute, and he came on the 74th minute. So I think Pep now at this point is making subs at the right time. So if he does think it needs to change, I think he will. I remember calling for a sub in the first leg against Real Madrid, and he didn't make any subs in that game, and we still came out with the result I predicted, which was 1-1. And that's good. I'll take that. So that's what I mean by Pep. If you think this is the best decision to make, do it, because I think you know best. So if you think you don't want to make a sub on Saturday, I won't kill you for it, unless it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, we gotta have some conversations happening. But if it does work, hold my hands up. You know best, and I give you your deserved props. I implore you guys to go back and check up on that AC Milan versus Inter Milan semi-final in the Champions League, because if we do remember, they had opportunities. AC Milan had opportunities to get at Inter Milan, and they didn't score a goal against them over 2 legs. So in my opinion, that's not good enough if you want to make it to the final. But the fact that they had those opportunities tells me that, hey, this Inter team isn't like a Real Madrid of last season, to where it's like, if you get one opportunity against them, you have to take it, or else you're probably not going to get much out of this game. They will have space in the midfield because of the type of football they try to play. So on their counter-attacks, you will see them commit a lot of numbers. They're not going to say, okay, Lautaro and Lukaku or Lautaro and Zeko are going to go up against Ruben Dias, Kyle Walker or Akanji, and Ake or Akanji, and John Stones and Rodri, and they're going to get us a goal on every attack. They're not going to do that. They're going to send as many players as they can. I think they leave their back three and potentially one other midfielder lane a bit deeper than the rest, but everybody else, including both wing backs, go on the attack, build up the numbers so that we can have the Jekos and the Lukakus in the box, get the crosses in, and are try to slip a pass through. I think that is more what they'll be attempting to hit us with, instead of, you know, just completely sit back and send one or two players to get a counter-attacking goal. So that's just a bit of I want to say bright light for the Manchester City fans. We can go on and get something out of this game. I think they will possibly have situations where they, I don't want to say give us a goal, but, you know, open the door and we just have to walk through the door towards the goal. You know them way there? That I think we will have some situations like that. For me, I am very nervous about this game. I'm trying not to think about it too much because I'm not feeling the nerves right now, but I feel it in there somewhere. I'm definitely somewhere nervous for this game. And the confidence is winning, because the team has given me enough confidence to where the nerves don't matter as much, but I do know that it's there. And if you actually, what I'm trying to do is wait until the final whistle to really let that emotion out. Right now it's just a bad job, I'm holding everything in. But if we do somehow not win this final, then I'm not going to concede one in the first half and then we're in the second half 1-0 and saying, oh nah, it's lost, what are we going to do, we're never going to win the Champions League. No, that's not what I'm doing. After 90 minutes is when you will hear any form of judgment from me on the outcome of the game. If we are leading halftime at 4-0, again, I'm not going to be saying, oh yes, we are European winners, we are Champions League winners. No. I'm remaining calm, thinking, you know what? With 5 goals up going into the second half, how are we going to change the game plan to ensure, you know, when I say ensure, I mean 100% fact, ensure that we will lift this trophy at the end of this match. That's how I'm thinking. So I don't want to get too ahead of myself in either facet. So I'm trying to stay in the middle until the end of the game. That's when I will be looking to dissect what had happened in the game. Let's see. Yes, I think the players did let us down in previous Champions League campaigns, and that might be a bit rough to say, but if you look at last season, I think it's the players who didn't really give a good facet of themselves in that last 2 minutes, or even the last 2 minutes and extra time. We didn't offer anything at that point in time. You can see the 2 goals in quick succession to give away a 2-goal aggregate to go to the Champions League final. Like 2 minutes until the final whistle, that all you had to do was just hold on. I think there's a stat that even said we were 99% sure to go through, and Real Madrid banked on 1% and they went on to win the competition. So we can't afford to have something like that again. I think the players will be definitely switched on throughout the entire game because of an experience like that, and as well as in the Champions League final. I do think there are several players who can say they didn't do their best, and that reminds me of another call that Pep Guardiola made in that match that made my head so hot. So my first ever Manchester City jersey that I bought, you know, I always wear a jersey while watching games, for anyone that knows me, by the way. And I was talking to one of my friends who does support Chelsea, and he was saying, oh, Sterling's gonna start. And I said, no, bro, Sterling is not going to start. He's like, why not? He's one of your best players. I'm like, he is one of our best players generally, but he is not at the moment. He is completely off form. His last few games have been abysmal, and I'm not going to just say throw him in the Champions League final and hopefully he swims. No. I would say bench him if it's not going well, give him an opportunity to come on and affect the game. But Pep started him, and I had made a bet before the lineup came out that, like, because I was expecting Foden fall. Was it Foden? I was expecting like KDB falls 9 and Gundogan, Bernardo in the midfield, Mars on the right, Foden on the left, something like that. And he was saying, nah, Sterling is gonna start. And I said, if Sterling starts, I am going to throw away this jersey. That is how sure I am that Sterling is not going to start this Champions League final. And then he starts the Champions League final, and he goes on to be absolutely rubbish, and we lose to Chelsea. And 1-0, he did absolutely nothing in the game. I think he basically took, what's his name? Reece James out of the game, like cancelled out, because Reece James was so focused on him, who didn't really offer anything to the team going forward anyway. But I guess he took Reece James out of the game, so it was fine. No, not for me. And we went on to lose that game. That was another call I was really upset that Pep made, and I lost a pretty good jersey just because of that. So thanks, Pep, you owe me a shirt. It was really old anyway. It needed to get replaced, but it was kind of like kind of risky, but not too risky, because I wanted a new one to replace it, and it was getting to that point where it's like, I'm not wearing this outside anymore. So yeah, it's not too big of a loss, but still, I like that shirt, and it had so much memories in it, man. But yeah, I think the players should feel like they let us down and let themselves down based on the last 2 years in the Champions League. And this year, I think they have the opportunity to not only rectify that, but be immortalized in Manchester City history and football history, as a matter of fact. Because at this point, we are double winners for this season. If we go on and win one more game this season, one more game, we will be the first ever treble makers in England since Manchester United in 1999. And I want to see that happen. I want to see that happen. So these players, I'm sure they want to experience that as well. I'm sure Ruben Dias is going to sleep on Friday night thinking, you know what? I'm going to lead that team into a Champions League final, and we're going to win it, and I'm going to lift that trophy in front of the fans, and we're all going to celebrate, you know? I'm sure Ederson is going to sleep on Friday night thinking, you know what? I'm going to make a big save in this match. I'm going to win that game first, and people are going to look back and say, you know what? If Ederson did not make this save, we lose. I think Kyle Walker will be thinking, I am going to make a challenge so crucial. Like, people will be looking at, do you remember when we were playing Liverpool a couple of years ago? I think it was 2-2, and Fabinho had a shot at the back post by himself. It was only one there. Rodri wasn't even on the screen, and then by the time he was about to kick it, Rodri just appeared out of nowhere and blocked it. I think Kyle Walker is thinking, I want to make a challenge of that level in the Champions League final, similar to what he did against Vinicius, when Vinicius was cleared through at the edge of the 6-yard box, and Kyle Walker comes in, cleans him out, takes the ball. I think he wants that level of impact in the game. These players are thinking about that. KDB is thinking about this goal he scored against Madrid, to where we tied it 1-1. You were getting peppered at that point in time. I think Gundogan is thinking about his 2 goals against Manchester United in the FA Cup final last Saturday, and I think he's thinking about his 2 goals against Aston Villa at the end of the season last season. So all of these players are thinking about their moments and how they can make more moments on Saturday. And I think these players want to be immortalized. I don't think it's going to be an issue of Pep not being able to motivate them for this game. I think they will come out for it. I think we'll see the best of some of these players, and it's just how best can Inter cope with it. Again, into the comments, Phil Foden says, I wanted that Grealish or Bernardo off in the FA Cup final after the second half. Bernardo was quiet and Grealish lost his head. No, I can definitely see that. And funny enough, I thought at points, Bernardo was getting a lot more of the ball than Grealish did. But there were definitely long periods of the game where both of them were not seeing any of the ball. And both of our goals came down the center of the pitch anyway, so it does kind of reflect that in the goals. But yeah, I don't think either one of them contributed much in that match. And yeah, that story is a bit sad. I can't tell you're talking about the jersey story. Yeah. But hey, I'm stocking up on some new kits now, so you'll be seeing more of them on the channel as time goes on. Hopefully I can, get a treble one, for celebrate the treble. I want to get one of them from this season. Colin Bell kit with the badge in the middle. Hope to get one of those after the season as well, but I want to also get a richer one. But I digress again. Speaking on the FA Cup real quick, I think the energy that we showed in that FA Cup final was good. For players who haven't played alongside each other for almost a month, I think they really got up for it, and it was just about rust more than like bad performances from them. So a bit of that rust would have shaken off. KDB didn't necessarily have his best game, but again, that's to be expected. His last game was against Brighton. I don't think he played the full game against Brighton, and at that Brighton match he had missed a bit of football since Real Madrid as well. So I think this back-to-back game for him and the occasion will be enough for him to really step up and take the reins. I think Gundogan is the same. Like, his energy in the final was awesome. I think he was probably our man of the match alongside John Stones. I think they were amongst our best players in that game in the FA Cup. I think Stones is one who had a massive game in the FA Cup, similar to Ruben Dias. I think both of them were really good. I think Rodri had a good game. He showed levels on Casemiro, and they're all bringing that form into this game. So I love the energy that they came in then for the FA Cup final, which in itself is a big occasion. We're playing Man U in the arguably the biggest ever Manchester derby. It's the first ever Manchester derby final in a cup, and it's in the FA Cup, one of, if not the oldest cup competition in football right now. So all of this together, it's a massive game, and it's potentially part of a treble, definitely part of a double this season. For this game now, it's a big occasion for its own reason. I don't need to tell you why the Champions League is a big game. It's a big this Champions League final is a big game. They know it as well. So again, these big game players will be rising up to the occasion for this. I 100% believe in them. And for Inter, Inter fans will tell you that they haven't had the best of their seasons. I think they'll be looking to win the Serie A at this period in time. Were they winners last? I think AC Milan were winners last year, but they were winners before that. I think they did want to go back to that throne in the Serie A this season as well, but things haven't gone too great. I think they have won 2 cups this year though, and I do think that this would definitely rectify their a bit underwhelming season so far, and getting to the Champions League final, brilliant achievement for them, as is for us, of course. And they will come out to this game with high mentality as well, as they showed in the semi-final. But we can't care about what Inter Milan want to come in with. We have to worry about what we want to do. And I also said something similar after we played Southampton in the league this season. Someone was telling me, these are relegation teams, they're coming to fight, they want the points, they're going to sit back and sit deep, and it's going to be them who want it more because they're fighting for survival in the Premier League. And my reply to that was, I don't care if Southampton are fighting for survival in the Premier League. I don't care if we beat them and they get relegated because they lost to us. What I care about is we lift the trophy at the end of the season, because I'm a Manchester City fan. Yeah, it would be a bit sad to see Southampton get relegated, but not enough for me to say, you know what, let's not beat them, let's draw against them, or let them beat us this one time. No. Don't give me that. Do not give me that. So we have to look at what's in our best interest, and we have our own selfish reasons as to why we need to win this final. Inter can worry about rectifying their season next season, and next season if we face them, we'll talk about this again. But as of right now, we need to be worried about what we can do to have the best possible end of the season for us. So we don't need to be worrying about what occasion it is for Inter Milan or for us. Don't play the occasion, play the game. A bit cliche, but that's what we need to do. Go out there, execute how we have been, see where we are at the end of the first half. Pep, give them the talk. You know which talk I mean? The pep talk, you know? No? Okay. And change the game plan however you need to affect the game differently in the second half. Go out there and by the end of 90 minutes, we should have the trophy. If not, then we should be in extra time and hopefully win it in extra time or penalties. I hope it doesn't go to that, but hopefully we can get it done in 90 minutes and we are the winners of the cup, not just the runner-ups again. That wasn't a good feeling, to be honest. I don't want to go through another Champions League final loss. But it is a one-off game. It is 50-50 the moment the whistle goes and the ball gets kicked off, and we'll have to do whatever we can to wrestle that 50% up to like a 70, 80, 90%, actually a 100% chance if possible. That's what we need to be focused on accomplishing during the game. But I'm very aware that Inter Milan have their own game plan. They'll have their own perspective and their own selfish reasons, like I said earlier, and why they cannot allow us to win. But that's why we just have to take it from them. It's not about them allowing us. And my prediction for this game is, I'm going to say 3-0. I'm going to say 3-1. I'm going to say 3-1. I'm going to say 3-1. I think we can score 3 goals on the day. I think the last time at Champions League was no. I don't think that's not the stat I saw. Pep, I think did Pep win the Champions League 1-0 in his time at Barca? I'm not entirely sure. I do know that he won it twice, but I don't exactly remember what the score was. Not that it's that important, but I do think the last time the Champions League was won by 3 goals or more was 2017. I think that's it. Juventus versus I said 3 goals. Yeah. So I think that was 2017, Juventus versus Real Madrid, and 2 goals would be 2019 Liverpool versus Spurs. So I think we can bring that back again, be the next team to score 2 goals or more in the Champions League final, or win by 2 goals in the Champions League final in about 3 years. Yeah. So I do hope that we can, or 4 years. I do hope that we can come back and bring out that level of performance, because it's not just a final. It's not just a trophy. I said this earlier. We are fighting for our respect. If you have seen or witnessed whatever Manchester City has accomplished since Pep Guardiola has joined the club, and you are a Manchester City fan, you must feel blessed. As I feel blessed to have seen this era of Manchester City's history. And Pep Guardiola has given us some unforgettable moments, as well as other managers as well, before Pep Guardiola, since the takeover has happened. But no one wants to put any respect on it, because we did it after getting a takeover, and we were a small club before, and that we haven't won a Champions League. Those 2 reasons are why people want to hate on us and not respect anything we've achieved over the last 14 years, 15, since 2008. How long has it been? About 15 years. So for the past 15 years, no one wants to put any respect on what we've accomplished just because we haven't won the Champions League and we got a takeover. Well, guess what? We can't go back with the takeover, and I wouldn't go back with the takeover just because rival fans are upset. Cry more for all I care. You guys don't want takeovers. I don't care if you were a big club before the takeover, after the takeover, or during the takeover. It really doesn't matter to me. When they talk about oil money, they want oil money for their club, and they don't want to respect what we have achieved through football. We haven't been the biggest spenders in England. Yes, we have accomplished a very strong team, encompassed a very strong team, and we have gone on to win a lot of trophies. That's not a reason why you should hate Manchester City and not give them the due respect that they have earned over the past couple of years. But the other thing that they hate us for, we can actually rectify that on Saturday, which is the Champions League trophy. If we get a Champions League trophy, a lot of people have to put their hands up and say, you know what? My whole argument about why I cannot respect this club has just been smashed. Because one thing that I said that they will never do, they've done it. And I purposely got the Champions League jersey for this year. I don't think we'll play in this kit, in this away kit on Saturday, but I do know that I did believe that we would be in the Champions League final and that we would win it. And this is the proof. Because I could have gotten the Premier League version. I said, nah, I want the Champions League version with Haaland on the back because he's gonna win it for us. So that was my bit of hope for this match. Get this win under the belt. Rival fans will have to hold that, be quiet, and put some respect on my club. Quickly in the comments, Phil Foden says 2-0 for me. Come on, City, bring it home. 100%. And I love the backing of the clean sheet, because this defense needs some respect. A lot of people are quick to just predict a 1 goal or 2 goal conceded just because we don't really see clean sheets too often. And over the years in Manchester City, we haven't had like tons of clean sheets since 2020. But you know, we would score a lot of goals and create a lot of chances, so no one would really care. But this season, especially in the Champions League, we've brought clean sheets back. We got a clean sheet against Real Madrid at the Etihad just last Champions League game before this. We got a clean sheet at home to Bayern Munich the home game before that. So I do think we can potentially get a clean sheet. That's why I said 3-0 initially, but I did put it at 3-1 because I do think that I have to put some respect on Inter strike force. Edin Dzeko, one of my G's. I grew up watching Edin Dzeko at Manchester City. I have so much respect for that man, and I don't want to say he's going to be. He's been playing good as well for Inter Milan. I don't want to say, you know, him, Lukaku, who's also been playing well, and Lautaro Martinez, who's also been playing well for Inter this season. All three of them on form are going to come up against us, and we're going to shut them out. I could say that, but I would take a 3-1 win, and there is a chance that something might go their way at one point and they get something out of the game. So that's where my 3-1 prediction comes from. I do believe in the defense 100%, and they have earned our faith in them as well. They have come up with some brilliant performance. Even this season, this year, I mean, since 2023, we haven't conceded a lot of goals. But if you do look at where Inter will be more dangerous, or the most dangerous to us, I think it will be down their left side. They have Lautaro Martinez playing left side as striker, as well as DeMarco, I think his name is, as the left wing back. DeMarco, he has a lot of goal contributions this season, if I'm not mistaken. And there's also Bastoni. I think he has 6 assists for Inter Milan this season. So all of them on that side, if they're going to be involved in the counter attack or advancing off Inter's attack on the pitch, I think most of it will come down from the left side. Definitely keep that in mind when you're watching the game. And they obviously have Barella as well, right-sided centre back. I mean, right-sided midfielder in centre mid, next to Dumfries. So he's another outlet that they might have some output from. I'm keeping an eye on him as well. Obviously, he's one of their best midfielders. So, and Çalhanoğlu, I think him playing in the centre will be a massive part of what they're trying to do. I think he'll be their director in transition. I think he will be looking to score some long shot goals. I think he might even be looking for some crossing opportunities into their strikers. But I think he will be the main point of their creativity, is what I'm trying to say. I think they look to him to break down Manchester City's defense, and we'll have John Stones and Rodri in his area anyways, and I'm not worried about them having to handle him, but we do have to pay some respect to these guys. That left side and those two players, I think that's where most of their support to their strikers will be coming from. And the last note I want to leave this on is that Champions League final 2 years ago, that was not a good representation of Manchester City. That was not our best football, that was not our best performance, and obviously not the best result for us. That's why I said that I feel disappointed or let down by the players, and that's not a dig on them. It happens, it's football, and I do think that they let themselves down, or they feel like they let themselves down as well. So I'm looking for the bounce back, because I know these players have mentality. I know these players want to do it for the club, and the world, I think, remembers Manchester City for that, because when we're winning Premier League titles, they don't want to look at that, because we won the top division before the takeover. Then we got the takeover in 08. We had Aguero at the club in 2011, and he won the league for us in 2012. So we've won the leagues before Pep Guardiola twice, and then him coming in to win leagues, they don't want to put respect on it. He hasn't won the Champions League at Bayern Munich, and that's since he left Barcelona, and then he comes to Manchester City and still hasn't won it. Couple that with the fact that we have never won it in our history, I think no one wants to give us respect because we haven't won this. So if we do go on to win this Champions League final, the world is watching. This is what they will have to remember us for. They will have to put some respect on this Manchester City team if we come out as victors on Saturday. If we lift that trophy, the big ears, the same one that they said we didn't have the mentality for. The same one where them said we could never lift because we got a takeover. The stupidest reason ever. We can come out and prove them wrong. Them they think them right about when we played Chelsea 2 years ago in the final. This year, we have a chance, an opportunity to rectify that. 2 years after that occasion, Manchester City, step up to the plate. You know what you need to do. The players on the pitch, you know what you need to do. Pep, you know what you need to do. The fans in the stadium, you know what you need to do. The fans on social media, you know what you need to do. The fan channels, you know what you need to do. The backroom staff, the kit guys, the hierarchy higher up in the club, you guys all know we all have a part to play in this massive journey, and it's time. It's night time to go on there and make the entire club proud, make the city of Manchester proud. And as much as majority of England won't like it, we can go and make England proud as well, because we are representing England just as our West Ham did today. I know this is a few days out before the actual game, but this is my rallying cry. This is my bit of contribution to the team, and I hope you guys know I'm here cheering you on all the way through, from minute 1 to minute 90 or minute 120 or in the penalties. I'll be cheering, I'll be on the Bears, I'll be pushing some massive positive energy towards this team, and I do believe that we will be able to break this Manchester City curse and deadlock. By the way, special shout out to Yaya Toure, who did lift this curse on us this season. He did say that it never existed. I don't know about that because it seemed to be working. But what I do know is that he did say he wants us to win the Champions League this season. So maybe all the lines are crossing in our direction, and we can actually accomplish it. Everything does seem set up to make it happen. Phil Foden says, yep, the left side will be threatening. Definitely look forward to seeing that, and I hope Pep is expecting it and planning for it. But what's good is we will have potentially Bernardo Silva on that right side. We will have John Stones on that right side of Rodri. We will have KDB on that right side of Gundogan, and we will have Kyle Walker on the right side of that defense. So their entire left side is going up against those 4 players, mainly to create opportunities from. I back that side of the defense. I definitely do. So it will be a battle to see. Dwight Cole says, big up Clinical, big up yourself. Let the haters and the hypocrites in the media keep crying. We deserve our respect. Manchester City 3-0 Inter Milan. If we play our ability, we should win 100%, and that is the type of energy we need to be pushing for these last couple of days until Saturday. Again, I'm making that reference to what you see in the title. Believe. The fans need to believe. The players need to believe. Pep needs to believe. The backroom staff needs to believe. The whole atmosphere around the club needs to be belief, because I don't think we really felt like we believed 2 years ago against Chelsea. That was a part of the mistake. Match-going fans are telling me that the stadium was quiet. Our first ever Champions League final and the stadium was quiet. That's a disgrace, man. That's a disgrace. I know that fans were in there trying to build an atmosphere and singing. And if I was there or had the opportunity to be there, I'll do my best to that as well. But I do think the fans learned since then, and the atmosphere that we'll try to push will be there. The players on the pitch will try to feed off that as much as possible. Pep will have the best possible game plan to set us forward. And if the whole club is moving in the right direction like that, like how we have been since we got the charges, trust me, man. Trust me. This is a team to be reckoned with. Inter Milan is more worried about us than we are about Inter Milan. And even though we are showing them respect, but you have to remember, this is not arrogance. We are one of the best teams in Europe this season. We already knocked out 2 heritage teams. This is another heritage team in the Champions League. They've won it 3 times. But we've already knocked out 14-time winner and defending champions, Real Madrid. And we have knocked out 6-time winner, Bayern Munich. I think they've won it 6 times. But 6-time winner Bayern Munich in the same season. I know we have 3-time winner Inter Milan in the final. 1-leg game or 1-leg affair. We need to just win this game. That's all we have to worry about for the rest of this season. Guys, it's been a good one. Please don't forget to hit that like button. And the last time I checked, I was 1 subscriber away from 60 subscribers. Hopefully I can get that 60 before the Champions League final. So if you are watching this on the replay, or if you're watching it right now and you haven't subscribed, help me out, subscribe. 1 subscriber away literally from 60, and the road is to get to the goal is to get to 100 by the end of this year. So help me get to that. It's been a good one. I do want to say, come on City. I'm wheeling out all of my City tunes this weekend. I'm leading up to the game. I'm just getting myself in the vibe. I'm just preparing everything for the actual affair of Saturday. I'm preparing for Saturday. Like, I'm waking up early and I'm starting everything time barred. I'm setting my timetable for everything I want to do throughout Saturday leading up to the game. I want everything to go perfect on that day so that I can just focus on whatever display we will be seeing in that final. So you'll be hearing the blue moons coming out. You know, we're not really here. I got a new song about I heard a song about Gerrard slipping, which sounded tough. It was a Edin Dzeko song. So, and like I said before, I rate Edin Dzeko, so I will be singing that. You know, who the hell are Man United? I don't know if you guys know that song, but that's one of my favorite songs as well, obvious reasons. And that song about going to Istanbul. How we go? Ederson and Ake, Walker and Akanji, Ruben Diaz, Johnny Stones. We're the best in Europe. We're Manchester City, on our way to Istanbul. Whoa, we're the boys in blue. Whoa, coming after you. Hear that, Inter Milan? We are coming after you. So don't go anywhere. See you on Saturday, and hopefully it is in celebration mode. I will be crying on Saturday. I don't know if it will be tears of joy or tears of sadness. Hopefully it is tears of joy. Big up yourself if you're tuning in today. Thank you for the guys who have left me comments as well. Big up, and until next time, I will see you guys again. I will be doing a post-match. I'm not sure when. It honestly depends on the outcome of the game, but stay tuned to the community section. I will let you guys know when the post-match will be, and I might also feature on another couple of channels later in this week as well. Patrick Chu, City Fan, another City channel I collaborate with, should be doing his live stream tomorrow, so I might make an appearance there, if not in the comments, but definitely check his channel out and you might see me over there as well. Big up yourself, guys, and until next time, please enjoy the game.